Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Open Mic Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, Mark. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back and thank you. If you're thinking I fancy giving this stand-up stuff a go, then this podcast will guide you on what to expect on this crazy circuit from those right in the middle of it, from comedians, promoters, MCs and tutors. Today's guest is someone that dreads those WhatsApp notifications appearing at the wrong time. He's never sure about the Cornish Jesus, and he really does miss the DVD man. He's a blackout winner, so please welcome to the stage. It's Mr. Sonny Savage. Not that one, this one.
Great start. Let's go.
How you doing?
Oh, living the dream, brother. Living the dream. You know.
That's actually quite a nice thing, putting the wrong sound effect on, because you didn't hear that other blackout, did you? You won it.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That I heard others, so for them, I had a little shiver down my side, just down my spine, just for them. Yeah, I was very lucky. That was the first gig that my parents the first and only gig my parents ever come to. Because I grew up in South East London. That comedy club was like, my dad, I remember when he used to have the statue of the bloke taking a shit outside. I remember looking at that at like 5, 6 years old, and my dad showing me that. And that's the comedy club. Always wanted to perform there. Being on that stage was surreal. Like, it was just I said to myself, no matter how it goes, I don't care. There's a picture of me on that stage. I've made it, sort of thing. So yeah, when my family found out, because they've moved we no longer live I live in South East London still. They've moved to Herne Bay, a bit nicer near Kent, Whitstable sort of area. Very nice. And when they heard that I was doing that, I was like, you got to come down. So like, mum and dad came down, and that's probably the most, apart from when you first start off, that's probably the most nervous I've ever been for a gig.
Yeah.
If I knew this, I think it was the day before I changed the joke. So I had my 5 minutes. I was like, cool. I kept drilling the 5 minutes for like a few weeks leading up to it. And then, when you're doing the same five, and you're like, let's just, I know the five, let me just spice it up a bit. So I tried out a new joke, and it fucking killed, absolutely killed. And I went, oh, this is good. I think I can probably include this in the tomorrow's set. And I was like, no, you've got your 5 minutes. And then I woke up in the morning and I went, you know what? No, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. I'm going to do this. And thankfully, it did do well, that joke. And I think that if it wasn't for that joke, who knows if I would have made 5 minutes, because I've done it. I don't know, probably like just about the 2 minute mark. Because obviously, after for those that don't know, after 2 minutes, it goes dark, and then the audience can vote you off. Yeah, so I made sure to pull it in there, and it really won. Got a little applause break, which is obviously what you dream of. And then, and then I was just so nervous going up. I just remember being behind, being like, don't remember, because when you got your routine, you go, right, I know this joke, and I know this joke comes next because of the ending of this, and it kind of flows. Because this was different. I was like, don't do this. Like, when you do the twins joke, it goes into the World War I joke, but don't do it this time. You do your twins joke, and then you do the religion joke. But hey, we got there in the end. But, so nervous. And especially because my mum and dad decided to sit at the front, as you do. Why wouldn't you sit at the front? Yeah, and the MC picking on my mum just before, and I can't remember what the joke was, but it was some sort of sexual joke about my mum, and I was like, great, this is this is great. But yeah, thankfully, one of my favourite nights, in probably top 3 ever nights doing comedy, I'd say, for me.
Yeah.
Just because of what it meant.
Yeah. So how long did you when did you start comedy then, and what made you want to get into it?
To be honest, mate, turning 30. So I started the Sonny Savage journey. So young Sonny wanted to be a rapper. That was the plan. So from about 21, I went, right, I can't be doing this normal work life. I need to do something creative. So rapping was my thing. I loved rapping. I'd done that, like a few tracks recorded, went to bring out a mixtape. Took me a few months to do. By the time I went to bring it out, I was like, I think I'm a lot better now. So then I scrapped that and then started a new one. And then same thing happened. I'm just like, I'm getting better now. So these old songs, I can keep these, but this isn't going to be the project. Then I kind of got into comedy rap. I was a big fan of a guy called Little Dicky. He was an American artist. And he done like comedy rap, and then like others, like Lonely Island and stuff. When I was younger, I used to like them. So then I started dabbling in a bit of comedy rap, and I liked it, but it just wasn't, it's not really going to go anywhere, sort of thing, unless you're really, really talented. And I'm not. So and it was one open mic, really, rapping open mic, that really put the nail in the coffin. Because I'd done hip hop, and grime was really getting big. Obviously, I grew up in the grime era, but grime was getting a lot more mainstream when I was really trying to push the rap stuff. And I remember being at an open mic, and I was doing, and I thought, really good bars, really good lyricist bars, and then a kid who must have been about 15, 16, came on stage. I'll never forget the line. I've told so many people this. He came on stage and he went, "I'm lucky like a 4-leaf clover. That's why I drive a green Range Rover." Crowd went mad. They went absolutely insane. He doesn't drive. He's a child. I'm standing there side stage because I ate shit and it was just like, "This is your guy? This is your guy?" But yeah, so I just didn't have the voice for it. As you can tell, this is my voice. I don't have the rap voice sort of thing. So gave up that dream, but then still as a hobby would always write and everything. Always still kind of wanted to do stand up, but just never had the balls and was like rap will be the thing. And when I gave up on that at about 25, 26, again, I still write today, but will never release anything. And I've wiped everything from the internet that anyone would have been able to find. I didn't have a lot out, but everything that ever was gone. Thank fuck. There might be one video on a friend's Facebook that's lingering, but hey. But yeah, so then I was like, right, I want to do stand up. And then it took me 4 years to get the balls to do it.
Wow.
So that's the thing. I have notes for years. So I literally done a joke a couple of weeks ago that I just found in my notes. I've had these stand up notes for now, I'm 31 now. So I've had literally about 6 years of the same notes because I've got the same sort of Google notes things and it is years of it. And I can just go in there and look and it will just say things like, just guide dog slaves question mark, and then from there, and it'll just be things that I'd think of for years, and I'll go back, and even every now and then if I'm ever thinking like right, let me think of something new, I'll just go back in these notes and it's years worth of stuff. So there, yeah, and then it was funnily enough, it was a post by comedian Ishan Akbar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I know
Yeah,
of him.
yeah.
I've seen him live a few times as well. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, he is fantastic, and he's the perfect level that I like. Not too big, don't want, because I wouldn't want fame or anything like that. I'm not in it for that. Obviously, if you're in it for the fame and money, yeah, there's other ways you can probably get that, doing OnlyFans or something. But so I saw him do a post, and he started a month. He was 29. I think it was a month before his 30th birthday. Because at 20, honestly, at like 27, I was like, too late. Life's over. It's too. I can't start now. It's because it takes at least 5 years to get a little bit good at stand up, and then they say 10 years until you really find your voice. And I was like, I'll be 37 then. My missus will leave me if I'm not doing something with my life by then, sort of thing. And then I see his post, and he was like a month before 30th birthday, and it kind of gave me that. It's, even though there's been loads of people. I mean, Jeff Innocence. What was he like? 72 when he started. No, but like, that's the thing. There's so many people. I mean, and then if you're talking America, I think Rodney Dangerfield was saying like in his 50s when he started. So there's loads of examples. I think even what's a Scouse comedian called? John Bishop. I think
Yeah.
he was quite late when or maybe he started early, then stopped, and then went back to it or something.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned John Bishop because he's doing like a tour for like 30 years or something. He's been doing stand up, and on this tour, he's going back to the first club that he ever performed at, I believe. It's either in Manchester or Liverpool. So you see this whole list of arena, and then little comedy club. And the story of how he got into comedy was quite interesting because I think he said he turned up at a pub or something, and there was an open mic night going on. He wanted to watch, but if he didn't, he was told if you perform, you don't pay. Otherwise, you got to pay a fiver. So he decided, I'm not going to pay a fiver, so I'll perform. He performed, and that was it.
Really?
Yeah, that's mad.
Yeah, what was no material, just went up there.
I have no idea. He didn't go. So from the story, he didn't go with the intention to perform. He just went with the intention of watching some comedy or something. And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, I don't want to pay that fiver, so
I'll just go up and do it." Yeah, and there's me 4 years to actually go up on stage. Yeah, funny enough, I think Patrice O'Neill a comedian was on stage and he was heckling, and then the comedian went, "Well, if you can do better, come up on stage." And then he went, "That's like I don't know if that's true, it was like the myth," and then went on stage and funny stuff.
But you mentioned Ishan Akbar as well. Is if you look through YouTube and stuff, there's videos of him performing at We Are Funny Project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I just find hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like I've watched this guy at Leicester Square Theatre and places like that, and it's like this guy was in the basement of Dalston.
Yeah.
And it's out there.
I think Carl was saying that he gave him his first headline spot at GMB.
Really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because I know he done GMB, yeah, because Carl said he done GMB, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, he gave him his first headline spot. And then that was, when I heard that, I was like, because Carl also gave me my first headline spot, and it's like, similar path. So that's fingers crossed. But yeah, so that was seeing that he done it, and he's at sort of the level that I'd like to. Well, I don't care what level I get to. I love just doing it, but it was just to see that there was it's not over sort of thing. So then I was so lucky to get, Luke Tolson, amazing comedian.
No.
Oh, Luke Tolson, incredible comedian. He recently won, I believe he's taken a little gap. So he's been done comedy for, I don't know, probably like 20 odd years, probably more. He is moving or has moved to France now. So I think he's taken a little bit of a step back. But before he left, he decided to do the British Comedian of the Year this year. And he won it out of like, 600 something people, just to kind of, I think it was kind of just to prove to himself that he still got it or something. He used to host the Blackout quite a lot. Really great comedian. You probably know his face. He's done like Russell Howard's Good News when they used to do the comedy section there.
Okay.
So I was very lucky to get on his course, his comedy course that he was doing. So I'd done that, and then the showcase was February last year. And then
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you talk about the years and taking you 4 years to get into it, and you kind of go, and your showcase was only the beginning of last year, which would have been, for those that aren't listening in real time, beginning of 24. You're like, wow, that's quite a short amount of time that you've been doing it for.
Yeah. And I've taken so many, like, so I took off. So I started in February, and I'd say from June to late August, I didn't have a gig. Had a really bad gig, and then was like, nope, this is not for me. This is not for me. And I took months off, and then I've done the same thing again in like September. I think September or something. I took like a month off as well, but that wasn't kind of through choice. I had a bit of a rough gig, but then I had some family stuff. I had to go and live there for a bit, and then just didn't get on stage for a bit. So there has been gaps as well, but I've just got, it's luck of the game. It is just luck of the game with these things. With like the Blackout night, I could have done that next Thursday, lasted 2 minutes and got voted off straight away. Yeah. The small little competitions that I've won, luck of the game. Like I done the GMB New Act competition, won that, and then the following month was, Joe DaCosta. Murder, just incredible. Won that when he goes to open mic night. Every open mic he goes, here's the level, because he is just so good. So shout out Joe DaCosta. Check out his stuff. Yeah. He was on the month after, and I was like, woo, for you.
Yeah, I think it would be quite funny if you turned up to an open mic competition or whatever, and Joe turns up, all the comedians just got up and walk out. It's over. It's done.
Because he's just he's such a nice guy, so he deserves it. Which is always a bonus. It's always annoying when they're a great comedian and not a great person. Like, so it's just the luck of the game. Like this game is like, I really do feel like it is just the right circumstances, and same with the whole. Like one of my favourite things of stand-up at the moment is when I'll do it. So I give a joke free attempt. I'll do it, and if it don't work, I'll be like, right, do it again. Don't work, do it again. And if it doesn't work 3 times in a row, I will completely shelf it, or I'm like, if there's something there, I might bring it back, but I'll give up trying. When a joke goes well like 7 times in a row, and you're like, yep, got it in the bag, and then you do it, and there's nothing, and it really goes, oh, so did you? This works. I know this works, sort of thing. That's why comedy is such a. There's a comedian, Marc Norman, and he has a great quote about it where he says, "It's the only sport where the points are different each time. In basketball, if you shoot quite close to the basket, it's 1 point. If you go quite far away, it's a 3-pointer. In comedy, you can do exactly the same thing. It could be a 3-pointer, or you could do it this time, and it could be a 1-pointer. No matter what the joke is, sort of thing. It's exactly the same, same timing, same everything. But yeah, that's comedy. That's what we do it for.
It is. You brought up an interesting thing there where you've taken breaks.
Yeah.
How have you found? Because you mentioned you took a break thing, you had a shit gig, you took a couple of months off or whatever, then you came back. When you took that time off, did you always intend to come back?
The first time, it was a constant battle. I want to come back, but I don't think I've got it in me to do this for another minimum 5 years until I get any sort of traction. And also, I'm not a social media man. I've never I had to get Instagram for this. I had to get Facebook for this. I'm not one for social. I had a social media when a Twitter when I was rapping. When that went over, I stopped that, but never really would post on it hardly. It was just more for keeping up with music and stuff. Instagram, I got it when I went traveling. It was called Sunny Abroad, and then I got that, went traveling, and I just remember sitting on the beach. I was in PP Island, beautiful place, sitting on the beach. Scrolling, I went, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I shut that down, never touched that again. And then I'm just not one for social media. But then I said, after 2 years of stand up, I will get social media. That was my plan. And then I won the GMB New Act night. And then I was like, maybe I should just, because every single gig applying for, it's like, what's your handle? What's your Instagram? And then people were like, I was like, how did you get this gig? And they go, on Insta. I'm like, Okay. Because I had the Facebook, which is what you need. You need sort of the Facebook to find out a lot of this stuff. Um, so yeah, so then I wasn't a big fan of social media. So that was one thing that was putting me off as well. But I don't want to do that sort of game. But then I just thought, suck it up, Sonny. Do it for a few
Yep.
years and then do the mailing list. And then I can get rid of, once I've got a little fan base, switch to the mailing list, goodbye social media, and do the, what's the British comedian name? A fantastic comedian, Kipson, something. Oh, I can't think of his name, but he's just strictly mailing list. I always forget his name.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like strictly mailing list, sells at, most shows, like Leicester Square Theatre, stuff like that. Nothing, not like arenas or anything, and he's just strictly mailing list. So that's the plan. So yeah, I had the intention to come back, but if you would have told me that I wouldn't, I would go, okay, yeah, I would have just done it as a hobby. I would have done a gig a month, maybe a gig every couple months, a little ego boost, same 5 minutes, maybe chuck a new minute in there. But that was it. I wasn't prepared for the grind. And then just went back to work and then was just sat there twiddling away. And I went, I can't do this forever. This can't be life. And if I'm gonna, stand-up's the only thing I've ever been good at, really. Like apart from rapping, actually. Fantastic rapper for anyone that wants to know. But yeah, stand-up was that's just me at my center. That's my soul sort of thing. So I wouldn't have been surprised if I never went back. Oh, no, sorry. I would have been surprised if I never went back on stage, but I wouldn't have been surprised if I never actually tried, like in just an ego brush every couple months, invite a few friends over, sort of thing, that sort of thing. But it was and then once I was back, I was like, it's time to go back. It's time to really, really start hitting it. And funnily enough, your podcast with Kyle, one thing that really hit when Kyle was saying about minimum 3 gigs a week. If you're not doing it 3 gigs a week, what's the point? And I was like, okay, right. Because I work. I mean, I work every day like 7 till 3, and a lot of times I'm doing like 11-hour days where I do 7 till 6 and stuff like that. And then going to open mic night, and then not getting home till like midnight, and then back again up at 5:30. Like a few people that I geek with, they're like, "It's time for a drink," and I'm like, "My alarm's like 5:33," and they're like, "How do you do it?" And I'm like, "Love of the game, got to be done."
Yeah, I do partly agree that to get somewhere you have to be doing three gigs a week or at least, or whatever it is. But then there's also there's that segment, I think, on the open mic circuit, they go, this is more of a hobby than anything else. The ambition is to be funny, be creative, and take yourself away from the normal that you do on a day-to-day basis. So you can then, so long as you accept that you're doing one a week, but your one a week is only ever going to get you so far, unless for some miracle you are that superstar. Then you kind of accept your place in the sphere of where open mic are and what you can actually achieve on that stage. But the one thing I was really interested in is when you came back the first time, what was it? Do you remember what the feelings were like when you got back on stage again?
Yeah, I'd done the same order that I'd done before. So I'd had my comedy showcase first in February, which is, you can say it's the first gig, but I think I could have I read the phone book and they would have laughed, because it's just friends, family. It's like the nicest, that's why, as anybody, by the way, anybody looking to get into stand-up comedy courses, I couldn't recommend it enough. I don't know what I would have done without doing it. Because I always, before I ever knew about the scene, I would always, if you would ask me my opinion years before getting into stand-up, I would have probably shit on it. I would have been like, no, you can't teach you how to be funny. Like, it's just, you're funny or you're not. They're not going to write jokes for you. And then you do the course and you go, oh, there's so much more to it. There's just so much more to it. Like, I'm doing the Everything But the Gag workshop this Sunday, which is just going to obviously just teach you more. But yeah, it's just, I highly recommend it. But that first gig, I do think it can give you a bit of false confidence because it's just friends and family and you just do so well. And then my first real gig was Comedy Virgin, because that's a lovely place to start in Caversham Arms in Stockwell. So that was my first gig. And then I done a GMB next. So when I come back, I done the same order. I done a Comedy Virgin one, just to do that same set, and then done a GMB one. And I was nervous. I was really nervous, but winning, what's it called? The little plastic trophy that they do on Comedy Virgin. Got that on the gig back, and then that just gave me the boost that you've got something, clearly, Sonny. People like you for something, so just keep going, But then there's still the part of me that just says, yeah, you're shit. What's the point of this? And then there was one of my favorite gigs, and it didn't go that well. It wasn't like an incredible gig or anything like that. But it was the first gig where I really told myself, have fun. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Like it was a headline spot. It was a headline spot at the Star of Kings in King's Cross on, I think it was a Sunday. I think it must have been a Monday then. And there wasn't a lot of people in the crowd. Like that's funny enough. That's why I've slowed down in summer. Like, so I'm only doing like a gig a week at the moment, just because it's summer. Doing these, traveling this, hour and a bit to go perform in front of 6 people in a basement can just get a bit much in summer. So
Yeah.
I've taken somewhat of a break. But again, I say break. It's a 1 gig a week. Next week I've got 2 gigs. And yeah, so I told myself, Danny, just have fun. Like, no matter what, have fun. And that gig really, because I really enjoyed it. And I watched it back. It was all right. Like, I was having a great time. But in terms of the audience, it was all right. But if I'd done that exact gig the week before, it wouldn't have crushed me, but I'd have been like, oh, that could have went better. But I just told myself to enjoy it. And there was multiple times where I was laughing, like I'd done a joke, and that was it. I knew they wouldn't like a section of it. It was a very, any sort of darkish humor sort of thing, or like nasty humor, they just wasn't a fan of. And I have a big bit about, watching porn, and it's just not very nice. And it's just an awful joke about watching porn and family members messaging you and stuff. And I knew they wouldn't like it. And I'd done like the little first bit, and I heard groans and not laugh. And I just went, I'm going to keep going. And then I'd done the next bit and more groans. And I went, and one last bit, which you're really going to hate. And I'd done that. And again, they didn't like it, but I had fun. And then ever since that gig, it's no matter how it goes, as long as I'm having fun, that's all right. And especially with these open mic things, you can't put too much pressure on it. Like when you have the more important gigs, I think a bit of pressure is good. Like I've got backyard comedy on the 28th of August. Now I'm going to be nervous for that one. That one I am going to be nervous for, because I don't know what the sort of the way it's going to go or anything like that, and I don't know what the sort of night is. So that one I'm a bit scared.
Is that the new act night?
No, it's so I done the knockout that they do.
Oh yes,
I done the knockout. And I got to, I think like semi-final something like that. Got knocked out by, I can't remember, the black American comedian who was fantastic, much better than me, deserved to get through. I got off. The MC, for some reason, likes me. I don't know why. He saw something in me and he offered me 3 gigs. He offered me a gig like the next month in Covent Garden Comedy Club. He said, come back in August the 28th for backyard comedy. And then he offered me another one in October. And I was kind of like, are you sure? Like, what did you offer the winner, sort of thing? So so I don't know what this gig is on the 28th of August, but I'm very excited for that. So just things like that. That's where, but I still tell myself that not very good, but I'm like, it must be good because this guy's just, that. So that gig I am quite worried about, but hey, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah, you've got to have some faith in yourself in that. If you've had a room of people laughing, then you've got something.
Yeah.
It's just being able to be that completely consistent with it. Because one of the hardest things I find is that being a comedian on the open mic circuit, one of the hardest things is that you see 12 other people doing the same thing on the same night. And you can't help but judge yourself against somebody else. Even if their act is completely different to yours, has no resemblance to what you do, you still look at how that person handles themselves on the stage and what they do and the reactions they get for their jokes. And you look at them and go, why did that get that reaction, but my one didn't get that reaction?
Yeah, when there's some comedians that like, especially if I know it's not their joke, that gets me. When they're doing like a street joke or a joke that's just been done and they do it and get a good laugh, I'm like, I almost want to finish the punchline for them. I almost want to go that sort of thing. But there's space for all of us here. If someone gets their way doing that route, then by all means do it. It's not taking any shine off me. But yeah, it's always funny seeing when you see a comedian quite a lot and then seeing them just go from strength to strength to strength. I always find that's always quite fun to see.
Yeah, there's a few people I've seen on the circuit. You see them in the early days, and you're not saying they're bad in any way, shape, or form, but you see the progress and how they get better and better and better. But I can never look at myself and go, have I got better and better and better? I always feel like I'm the same as when I started.
Yeah.
I may well be, or other people may say, you've got, this is getting really good, this is good, etc. But I love watching other people and going, yeah, like I've mentioned it to a few on here, like Claire Cox, when I first saw her, whenever it was, a year or so ago. And then as I've seen her so much over the past year, it's like her presence has got better, her delivery's got better, and she just comes out and just owns the stage. And you're like, this is great. This is really good.
Yeah, the name ain't ringing the bell, but I probably will know the face, so I'll have to check her out. The only way I judge up with myself is our jokes change. So when I look at, like, because I record most of my sets, I try and then watch them back normally on the way home just to kind of look at things. I should really go back more and watch, but when I have a joke and I've had it a certain way for like a good, 10 gigs in a row, and then suddenly it will change, and then it'll work, and I'll be like, see, how did I never think of doing it that way before?
Yeah.
Even like my opener. My opener used to be, it's just a classic about your name. It used to be, hello, I'm Sonny Savage. You might think that's a cool name, but that's not my full name. It's Sonny Richard Savage. So Sonny Dick Savage. It was like something like, oh, you might think that's a great name for a rock star, porn star, not for someone who works with children. And now it is just a nice, that long, too wordy. Now it's just a nice, sweet, hello, my name's Sonny Savage. That is not a stage name. That's my real name because my parents took drugs. Sweet, simple, address the name. And now if I want to mention the Dick Savage, I do, but I just, it's not needed sort of thing. So that's how, in my own way, I noticed how, because I kind of went through after about a year in, I went through all my old jokes and went, what can I cut? Do I need to mention this? I used to do a joke about a first date and I would say where the date was and stuff and my journey to the date. And I'd be like, there was no joke there. Why did you need to say that? Oh, I got the train there and then it was at Wagamama's. It's like, that adds nothing to the story. But what was really hard about that is learning to not go into the old way. And but now, obviously, like I said, I struggle to remember the old way, how the joke went, just because you're so used to doing it the new way now.
I think there's a big difference between telling a story and telling a joke. And I think there's some comedians, and I put myself in that bracket, who haven't quite got that bit, because you in your mind every detail is important. But when you break it down and go, well, if I don't tell them about the journey, I'm still going to get the same laugh at the end because the joke is later on. It doesn't matter. And you do that thing where you start to condense things and you get the same laugh, but now you've given yourself more time to get more laughs.
Yeah, and then I've dropped in. So if I have like little short jokes, which I try and do, but it's hard. It's hard. Like one-liner comedians, any one-liner comedians out there, bravo, because it would take me about 4 years to write 5 minutes. Me and Charlie Firth. Me and him talk about it because his shortest joke, I believe, is 7 minutes long. His shortest joke, and and we say about that. I'd love to be able to do little like quick jokes. And when I had a little quick joke, and then I've entered that into another joke. So I have a joke about a first date, I used to do that for a while. And then one point I thought of the word pharmacist, and I just misheard it. And then I was like pharmacist, and I was like, as if you're anti-farmers sort of thing. And then I just included that in the joke, saying, I met this girl, and just before I met her, I had a spliff before I met her, and it messed me up because I said, like, what do you do for a living? And she was like, I'm a pharmacist. For a good minute, I was like, what you got against farmers? And then I go into the joke, but it's just another little added bit just to kind of squeeze in there. I do a joke about a northern accent, and then just quickly while talking about it, I go, I think North Koreans have a northern accent. Just a little bit, just to add it in there, just to see sort of thing. So I think any sort of quick joke I do, I try and see if I can pull it in another joke that's a bit longer.
Yeah. I think when you add the little quips in as well, it's almost like you're telling the pub story, and it's almost other people are your thick mate jibes in with the, do you reckon Northern Koreans have accents?
Yeah.
And you kind of go, and it then doesn't become you telling a story to the audience. It's like it's a whole conversation going on that only one person is saying, but everyone else feels part of.
Yeah, that just there, like a conversation. That is what I want it to be like. Like when when you see a really good joke writer, for some reason I can't think of one, but there's a few people on the scene that are just fantastic. Like you could write their joke down and it's a great joke, sort of thing. Declan's like that. Declan, I can't even think of Declan's surname at the moment.
Evans.
Declan Evans, yeah. Declan Evans is like that. You can write all the Declan Evans jokes down, read them, and they hit. What I would like is if it wasn't like that, as if like I went on stage and was like, let me just talk about this. But secretly, everything is planned. Like even when I do North Korea and I suddenly like stop and go, do you think North Korea? Like as if it's just casual conversation, but it isn't. It's all planned. It's all planned.
Yeah. I once tried to do I did a set. I forgot my whole thing. I was like halfway through and I forgot it. I'm actually pacing around the stage going, I've been open with the audience. I've forgotten this one completely. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. And I've got the audience shouting out bits that I've said before to try and jog my memory. It was quite a lot of fun.
That's great.
And then all of a sudden I went, oh yeah, the joke. We were talking about how as you get older, you forget things.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And it worked, but that wasn't deliberate. But then I did a gig about a week later. And I thought, I wonder if I can play with that. And I did the same thing. And I got to that same point and I went, oh, I'm sorry. This always happens at this bit. I'm And I went like into a really kind of introvert and like, oh no. And this girl on the front row went, you could hear her go, oh no.
Yeah.
And I went, oh yeah, it was about getting old and forgetting things. And then laughter came.
Yeah. Because when you see comedians and they mention something that's happened in the room, it's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
just for us. This isn't part of the set sort of thing. I had such a similar thing to you. I forgot a joke. All I remember, it was that shtick in North London. And I remember I went off a bit and then I couldn't think of what it was. And then I was like, oh, I've forgot the joke, unless this is all part of it. And I was like, no, I have actually forgot. Unless I'm bluffing again, sort of thing. And I was like, no, I haven't. I was like, I didn't actually mean to go off on this tangent. I hadn't had tangerine in ages. Remember tangerines? And then that was all in the moment. And then I brought that back and I'd done literally very similar to yourself. Just what happened in the moment, I then brought back and then acted it out. But the only thing, I'm a shit actor. So then when I've watched it back, I'm like, no, you can tell that I'm not, I'm sort of acting sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've noticed. When there's comedians that are also actors, when they go into a bit, you just can see how good it is. There's a girl that I gig with, Eve. I'd love to remember her surname, but I'm terrible. Eve, if watching, sorry. She's an actress, and when she goes into a bit and then she do a bit and then start acting in it, it's just like you're in the moment. A bit like Rory Scovel, the American comedian who I had the pleasure of watching a few months ago. It's just like I'll go to do a little bit and I'll go, yeah, do you think they do this? And I kind of still myself, but I kind of change it a bit. They would just in the zone, new character sort of thing. So actors and actresses that do it, yeah, they are. They do just, especially the storytelling. It's when you do the storytelling, it just works so well.
Yeah, I only ever did that forgetful thing once because I realized when I look back, it was just like it didn't feel authentic.
Yeah,
and when it doesn't feel authentic to I was like, I don't feel authentic. So do the audience really buy this? Yes, there was a couple of people in the audience that bought it, but out of a room of 30 or 40 people, you're like, oh, I'm not sure if everyone. No, I won't do that.
Yeah.
If I forget again, then I know I've got the confidence to play with something.
Yeah.
In that moment of forgetting was actually one of my most favorite parts of my stand-up journey so far.
Yeah.
The MC, I then overran, obviously, and I actually when I've forgotten, I've put a clip up on my Instagram. You see the guy running the night flash his light at the back of the room, and there's a mirror at the back of the room. You can see the flash in the mirror. And I just looked up and said, you can flash your light as much as you want. I'm still not done. I've got to get this bit done.
and
then the crowd enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, then and well done to the MC for giving it to you as well.
Yeah, and I got to the end and I finished it, and he got on stage and went, and that's why we don't have a hard 5 minutes. And I was just like, it was all part of it. It was great.
Yeah.
Things they're so much fun, and that's why we do it.
There is every now and then you'll have just a great comedy night that you go, this is why. And I find it's always after a few just the right ones. You have a couple all right gigs, and then you have one that just really revamps you and goes, this is why I do it. Yeah. It's a funny old game.
You've got to be in it to have fun, and if you have that fun, then you're in it for the right reason.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is seeing comedy that I'd never, just ones that you never think of, like especially like actor comedians where they come on, they're a character or something like that. Because I could never. There's some comedians I've seen, especially, funnily enough, the weirdest and strangest comedians. Have you ever seen Yogi Bear?
Yogi Bell.
Yeah. Yogi Bell, sorry. Yeah. What a madman.
Yes.
Incredible. He is one that he'll go, I'm not going to win you until about 3 minutes. And that is absolutely fine, because once I've got you, you're in my hand, and that is it. And he is I love seeing comedy that I wouldn't in 1,000 years even think of. There was a gentleman.
Yes.
He was called the Pajama Man or Mr. Pajama Man. Just a wacky cunt. Just an absolute, like, there's a line, if he wasn't a comedian, he'd be sectioned. It's one of them ones. Like they wouldn't be allowed in society if they wasn't a comedian, but because they're a comedian, we just sort of allow it. But them sort of comedy, I love it. Just because it's so different to me, and I know that I could never. Like I'm doing a prop joke at the moment, and it's my first ever prop joke. And it's killing me because it's hit and miss. It really is. It was first time done it, went really well, really enjoyed it. The next 2 times was the last time I'd done it. Was it last time? Yeah, I think it was the last time I've done it. Was probably the worst moment I've ever had on stage. Zilch. Like absolute silence. And because it's a prop, it makes it even more worse. It like,
Yeah.
give me 1 second. Oh, I know where it is. It's just at it. So imagine bombing wearing this. Imagine just turn it. So the joke is that my missus is really annoyed with me and she keeps getting, because I keep going out and getting drunk and going to these comedy nights and she just never sees me. And I say, and she always gets me just before I walk in the door. She kind of goes like, Sonny, what is up? You know, doing this. And she knows that the reactions ain't good because I've had a drink sort of thing. So I put these on and then she can't give me life advice because she can't give me a serious conversation while I've got them on. That was a joke. But I almost like prep it like, so I have this trick, guys. I have this, well, that's how I used to do it. I've changed it a bit now, but I'm like, I've got this trick, guys, and this is what I do. So just before I walk in, I do this, and I kind of turn around, put them on, turn around, nothing. It's just like, but then I double down. I'm like, I'm keeping them on. I'm not going to take these off now. And then the way I kind of get out of it is that I talk about just the nose on it, and I say, I gutted how the nose isn't too different to mine, and then that kind of wins them a bit back and stuff like that. But yeah, them comedians that do these sort of, I don't know if would it be alternative comedians? I don't know what the right term is, but them.
I think, it's alternative / characters.
Yeah,
It's
them. I take my hat off because if it doesn't work, you're just. I wish I wasn't so bad with names. I need to stop smoking so much weed. But Moss, I think his name is, fantastic. I've seen him twice now. Never seen him do it. Well, yeah, I've never seen him do even okay. Like every time I've seen him, the 2 times I've seen him, he's really killed. But he's doing a character. I saw him come out as a cowboy, and I'm like, if that doesn't work, you just have to be a cowboy for 10 minutes to nothing. Like it's any sort of them comedians. Because if I do a bit and it doesn't work, it's over in a minute. Or if I start the bit and I see it's not going anywhere, I will just kind of, I'll just cut the short. Yeah, I have a religious bit I do, and I mentioned Islam, and then, which is, I don't say anything bad about it, nothing Islamophobic, but just mentioning it gets a few people just like, So then if I don't do the next bit, if I see a bit like that, I'm like, all right, I won't do the next bit afterwards. I'll kind of leave it where it was instead of, going down that route. Just because some people, it's different comedy crowds, different people, obviously. But I have my, funny you saying before about seeing similar acts. I have me and the missus. So my missus doesn't like stand-up comedy. Just gotta say it. She's not a fan. She's likes comedy, but stand-up comedy is not her thing. Every gig I've ever brought her to, there's always a wild man on stage, like a character act, where she just halfway through just looks at me and is like, "What is this?" And I'm like, comedy, baby. It's comedy. And she, but when she went to a few gigs, she was like, why is everybody autistic or got ADHD? And I was like, I don't know. We have a thing called open mic bingo. So we'd have like a little like, right, there's going to be a joke where someone's going to be autistic. Someone's going to have ADHD. Majority of people are going to be middle class. There's going to be jokes about white people. Trump will be mentioned. In recent times, Elon Musk will be mentioned. And it's just like an open mic bingo sort of thing. Yeah, but it's the topics of today. With this comedy, I've never met such different people of walks of life that I never thought I'd meet. I've heard the term lower middle class. I didn't know that was a thing. Didn't know lower middle class was a thing. Like, I don't. What? You don't have a plug socket in the bathroom? What's the? I don't know what that means. Like, it's. I'm meeting walks of life. I've got friends that are polyamorous. Never thought that would be a thing. That's a crazy world to be in. Like it's I love it. I love it. Most of my mates are very, very, very different. So it is nice to open up to these wild, like, friends and stuff like that I've now got. And some of the people that I've met, hopefully, obviously, I'll know them for the rest of my life. Like, I've met some great people on the scene, people that I just really get on with, and especially someone who has the passion for comedy that like stand up that I do. Just like, do you know this guy? Yeah. Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? Yeah. And it's like, great. And then being introduced to new people, like MJ introduced me to Rory Scovel. Now, MJ Hunter, fantastic comedian and MC. He introduced me to Rory Scovel, and Rory Scovel changed my comedy direction. Like, when I watched him live, I just went, like, my jaw was just like, I've never seen someone that good at comedy before. Even I've seen artists that I prefer. Like, I went and saw Shane Gillis, and I love Shane Gillis sort of thing, but he was just such a good comic. Like the levels and rinsing a bit. So from him, what I've got, I went back and looked at my bits and went, why did I end there? Like, I was doing a World War One bit, and it was just about who brought football to the war, about like World War One with a game of football. Like, who brought football to the war? And then I do like imagine looking over and seeing a circle of soldiers, like Brazilians at a beach all doing kick-ups. And I'd end it. And now, got about 9 bits on that. I'm like, do you think
Yeah.
the think he brought the football to the wall because he just heard we were facing Germany and was like, oh, better bring a football? Or do you think someone got shot Christmas morning and they're in no man's land and like someone's gonna come, and they look and there's just someone playing football? Do you think I was like the war started in July? Do you think he brought the ball and because the game wasn't until Christmas? So do you think for like 5 months he was just there with his ball like a kid in the playground, just anyone gonna play
Yeah.
with me? Yeah, there's so much, and then like all of my bits I've kind of went right. Let me just try that, and then I'll try. So now what I'm doing, I'll have a bit, and say it'll be 2 minutes long. I've added on as much as I can to it to make it like a 3 minute bit, and then I'll just go back and watch it and see what works. And then be like, well, that didn't work, that
Yeah.
didn't work, that didn't work. But at least I've got this one extra bit now that I can add to the bit. And then that was all just through seeing that guy. Because it's,
I do like your World War. I do like the football bit. I think that's really good. That is such a question of who brings a football to the war.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I had a woman afterwards who I guess my first hater. She comes on me after gigging. She went, by the way, so I have a bit about, she called out a few bits. Yeah, she said, your religious bit, I say about who's at the gate? I should really know my own bit. Saint Peter? I say about Saint Peter being white, and then she's like, he wouldn't have been white. He actually would have been a mixed race from the Middle East. And I was like, okay, it was a joke. I wasn't trying to make a statement. And then she's like, and also it wasn't a football they brought to the war. It was they made a football out of something. And I was just like, that is not, I'm not doing a TED talk. It's just jokes. But it was funny having a critique about a joke. But it is just it's so interesting to just find different ways and different avenues. And someone mentioned World War One and a gig, it was about 3 acts before me, and my just heart went. I'm like, is he going to do Is he going to do the bit? Is he going to do the bit? Because I do wonder, people that talk about like topics that are quite common. I do wonder, like, if they hear someone say it like the step before, do they go like, oh no, that's quite similar to mine? I had a joke that I was doing, and then I see much more like a professional comedian do so similar. And I just said to myself, I can't do this joke anymore. And I kind of spoke to a few comics, and I spoke to, funny enough, that Luke Tolson. And he just kind of said, Sonny, every joke's been done. He goes, as long as you're not doing the same setup and same punchline, he goes, every joke kind of has been done. So mine was, I say something about the word queer, and then I go, I used to get called queer in school. It's like, school kids. I wasn't a big fan of football. I liked drama class, sucked a few guys off. Just made that. His one is Jacob Crawley, I think his name is. Great comedian. Hawley, yeah, Jacob Hawley, yeah. Real comedian sort of thing. I don't think I've actually seen a full set of his, but seems like a lovely guy. His one is wearing pink when you were younger. Everyone used to call you gay for wearing pink. Everything used to be gay when you was younger, wearing a pink shirt, doing this, shagging Craig. And I saw that and I went, oh no, people might think I've stolen it, but like I said, every joke's been done. It's just, so now I don't really do that now, just because there's a bit in me that's like, you've kind of seen another version of it. And obviously, because he's a better comedian and more successful, you don't want to look like you are, copying someone. Because they're the craziest. I saw a man do a word for word Jerry Seinfeld bit. And I'm like, don't pick one of the most famous comedians ever. Steal off an open mic if you're going to be awful and steal jokes. But yeah, he done like a word for word, the Olympic bit. No, the Olympic. What's the difference between first and second? And it's like, it's this. And he was, because I heard him go in there and I went, he's not going to say and then he done it. And I was like, he's not now going to say the next line. And then he did. And then it done really well. And I kind of looked and was like,
I saw somebody at the Comedy Store as their King Gong. They were doing Jesselnick joke, and they didn't get to the punchline, but it was the joke about, I went to the bar and I saw across the bar was my favorite porn star, and I said to the barman, called him over, said, the comment was obviously going to go somewhere, can you get her a drink for me or something? But it was is that you shouldn't have 13-year-olds in here.
Anthony Jeffrey.
As he was setting that up, I think I was watching this going, you don't.
Yeah, don't.
And he got gonged off just before the punchline. I was thinking, Jesus Christ.
To do it at that level as well, because you'd like to think if he's doing the King Gong show, he's been doing it for a few months or something at least, you'd like to think, sort of thing. So, yeah, I thought you was going to say, because I've seen a man do Anthony Jeselnik's joke as well. And again, if you're going to nick off a guy, one, he's really famous, but his jokes are so perfectly written that, like,
Yeah.
You know it. You know where, like, you would have known that joke where it's coming as soon as he started setting it up. But at least if you're nicking off a comedian like a, a more storytelling comedian, you can kind of like nick a bit from it, but go your own sort of direction if you want to, still joke. But I saw a gentleman do the, no Anthony Jeselnik's joke. The my parents should have been on 9/11 flight. At least I think so. He just done the same thing, but was it the Malaysian flight that went missing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, I really like the guy. I really like the comedian that done it. And when he done it, I was like, no. But then you have to sometimes give them the benefit, like they may have heard it, not realised they've heard it, and then because that is definitely a thing that happens. Because I've done it with when I was rapping, I've had a few lyrics, and I've seen like a real like rapper do it, like a famous rapper. I remember I had a lyric that was the same as Jay-Z's, and I went, there's no way I come up with that. I'm definitely, because I would have heard that song from Jay-Z loads, and then I've just somehow subconsciously done it. So I do think it is definitely possible. But when it is same punchline, same setup, same everything, then you know that it's...
One of my first sets that I ever created, or was my first set, was around it was around the topic of women asking men, what are you thinking? And the men's brains are just full of shit. It's not thinking anything intelligent.
Yeah.
They're expecting this gracious answer, but it comes out with something completely ridiculous. And I'm sat there at the Edinburgh Fringe watching Adam Rowe doing a work in progress show. He goes into a bit about his girlfriend asking him what he's thinking, and him coming out with like things like, why don't wheelbarrows have 4 wheels? And my wife has looked at me and nudged me aside, and she's just gone, without saying a word, she's gone, what the fuck? And I've gone, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And I've kind of thought to myself, I hope I've got something out on Instagram. So people come and say, oh, you got that bit from that. And I'm like, no,
look.
It's out there from like a year ago.
Yeah.
I did not steal this.
Yeah.
It's just 2 people coming up with a similar thing. But the scenarios, the examples and everything were different, but it was still along that same theme.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no. And I go through this crisis of confidence of going, can I do this again? Because he then releases a special on YouTube that's seen by hundreds of thousands of people. Anybody that sees me at an open mic now after that hasn't seen me before is going to think he's just nicked that from Adam Rowe.
If I see, because I've seen people do the same premise, and then that's why I like it when they go in a completely different direction. Yeah, but it's such a hard one because there's a bit inside you. Like same with that the queer joke that I do. Like there is a small part of me that goes, it's very similar to Jacob Hawley's, even though I didn't see it or anything like that. But that's why you kind of stop doing it. And there's even jokes. It's funny with, I'm sure you've got it. Jokes that you like, but jokes that do well, but you don't necessarily like doing. So you've kind of shelved them. Like I used to have this bit about being clumsy, and it was just a silly little bit, and it never didn't do well. It was just a bit of clumsy, and I don't even want to. I hate it so much. I don't even want to act out. It was a bit of acting. It wasn't really me. But it always done well. And then I was just like, I don't like doing the joke. And then there's jokes I really like doing that don't do that well, but I still do it because I like doing it. It's a funny game we're in, Marc?
It is. It's a weird one. I do want to go back and give a quick plug though, because you mentioned Yogi Bell and Moss.
Yes. Yeah.
Episode 30 and 59 of this. So you get to hear about the men behind the characters. There's so much more to Yogi Bell behind the scenes. It's amazing what the guy's done.
Oh, really?
And, he's made short films, doing a TV producer, been an editor and stuff like this. All of this kind of stuff, and you kind of go, wow.
Yeah.
And then everything comes together in his character.
Yeah, because I find it really interesting, just with normal traditional stand-up comedians, what they do for a living. Like there's one gentleman, I think his name's James, and there's an older gentleman, and he's quite dirty with his things, and like quite like a dirty old man sort of character. And then he's just talking like, what do you do for a living? He's like, I'm a financial advisor. And I'm like, what do you mean you're a financial advisor? Like, you wear a suit normally, and he's like, yeah, because he doesn't dress very nice, sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, there's these different, like, it's almost like even though he's not playing a character, it's just he's almost like at work he's playing a character, which I do as well. Like, I work in the NHS, I can't be doing some of the things that I do on stage there. So yeah, it's funny to see what people are like in real life, and especially what people like do for a living. That is one thing I always find interesting.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Duncan Hart here from episode 37. If you're enjoying this podcast, give it a like, a 5-star rating, and a follow on whatever app you're using right now. Marc will be forever grateful. Now, back to this cracking episode.
So going back to your jokes then, we've kind of touched on quite a few of the jokes that you've done. What is your favourite joke? I always caveat by saying it doesn't have to be your best joke.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
your
no.
favourite joke.
Do you know what? My favourite joke, I love, I do a joke about, because my mum's Cornish, and I do a joke about Cormans, which are a small fringe religious base who believe that instead of, like the Mormons, but instead of Jesus going to the Americas after his crucifixion, they believe he went to Cornwall. And I love it. Because it's so niche, and I get to do the Cornish accent afterwards, and I'm not good at doing the Cornish accent, but I do like imagine if this is true and Cormans are correct, and there's just 36 Cornish blokes up there just I'm just as surprised as you guys, like, and for some reason I loved, like, I wish I was better at accents because I love doing accents. I really, really do. I do find it funny. I wish I could do impersonations better. That is probably my favourite joke at the moment, just because it's I just really like the getting into the character of being a Cornishman and just doing the silly voice, really. So I'd say that is that's my favourite joke. You know what? My prop joke at the moment, because of how good and bad it's going, that's but that's favourite for a different reason. That's my favourite joke at the moment, just because I feel like in a couple months I'm gonna say to you, Mark, I've got it. I've got the joke now, because I feel like there's something there. There's got to be something there, but I've just not quite perfected it yet. Well, no, I ain't even close to perfecting it. I still ain't got the joke yet. I've got the ending bit, but the reveal. I just need to work on the reveal. And as soon as I've got the reveal down, the next little bits are good. So, that's what I really find exciting. Trying out a new bit that I know there's something there. But then it's just just be prepared for it to bomb. Just be prepared for it to bomb, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine if it doesn't do good. But then I always find with the gigs that I'm like almost like, you know, I'll do like the first minute. Like in the last few months, I've really, really tried on do your first minute or 30 seconds or something, and then just let's do as much new stuff as possible. Just because I don't need, especially when it's an open mic gig that I go quite regularly, I don't need the ego brush. I don't need there's no one. No, I still want to put on a good show, obviously, but I don't need to do the best. I can just try out as much stuff as I can, and just it'll be okay to not do well one night. Like, it's absolutely fine. And then I always find there's someone there that I want to do well in front of. There's always there'll be someone who I ain't seen for a while, and I'll be like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing good in front of them tonight, and something like that. Or they host a good night, I need to actually put my A game on. But with them sort of nights, and you just kind of tell yourself that it's not going to go okay, and that's fine. And it's okay if it doesn't go okay. And then they're really surprising when they do go really well. And you're like, I done my best 5 the other night and it didn't do that well. And now I've sort of went on a wing and it's done good. But that's the same, just going back to it being a conversation, because it does feel like more of a conversation. So that's probably my 2 favorite jokes. The Cormans, because I like performing it. And then this prop joke, because I know there's something there, until I completely give up on it. But until then.
Yeah. We kind of touched on it already, but what's your future ambitions then with this? Where do you want to get to?
I want to,
and it could be in 1 year, it can be 5 years, it can be 10 years.
I mean, if I'm being honest, the goal is to sell out the O2 Arena. That's the goal. That's my, I mean, when I've had my first ever class with Luke Tolson and we're sitting around, and it was quite embarrassing, to be honest, because it was really interesting to see that some people are not in this game to be a stand-up comedian. So this woman on the course, she was like, I'm a violinist, and in between my violining, I kind of have to set some things up, and I want to be able to talk to the audience. So I want to be able to have the stage presence and maybe have a few little jokes here or a few topics that I can kind of talk about. So that's why, and she'd done the open mic circuit for a little bit just to kind of get that. So she was doing that, and then she said, I just want to do that. Another bloke next to me was just like, something I've always wanted to do, so I thought I'd do a class. And another person was just like, yeah, I've just been interested in it. And it got to me, and I went, sell out the O2 Arena. That's the goal, to sell out the O2 Arena. But honestly, it would be lovely to do it for a living, but I'm not like that. I'm not really too fussed. I'm just, with this journey at the moment, I would just like to get to a bit where I just basically get at the open mic would be nice. It'd be nice just to go back to the open mic sort of every now and then. But it would be, I'd be very comfortable. I don't want the fame or anything like that. Like, obviously you'd be stupid to say you don't want money. Like, I'm a poor man. I'm not a rich man. So of course I'd like the money, but I'm not in it for the money, because that'd be a stupid thing to do. But it'd be amazing to have not to work full time and be able to get some sort of income from this, or some sort of, just even to make it pro. I think even just to make it pro would be great, or just to say that I did it, sort of thing. Even though I do feel very proud of what I've done, and I can always say that I gave it an attempt, because that was one thing with rap that really ate me up in the last before I started comedy, that shouldn't have given up. You shouldn't have given up. You had really good opportunities. You had some great connections, and I do think that why did I not do it? And then I remembered why I didn't do it, because I didn't have the love, sort of thing, or I wasn't prepared to go through that was more thing, go through all the open mics and go through all that sort of thing in the rap route and releasing things and doing music videos and it having 6 views and it crushing me. And, you know, ex-friends and girlfriends seeing it and being like, yeah, what's Sonny's up to? He wants to be a rapper. Look, he's got 48 views on his YouTube video. But everybody started like that. Like every comedian you see had shit at an open mic. Like that's one thing. So yeah, so I think making it pro, or at least just getting just the next step up. Like I've already kind of done a small little step in front of just doing 5 minutes and now getting like 10-minute slots and doing like the headlining of open mic nights and stuff like that. So that's like the next thing. So the next goal now is to maybe get on a bill with a few pro comedians and semi-pros and stuff like that. So that's probably the achievable goal at the moment. But like I said, Mark, being honest, still at the O2 Arena. That's the goal.
So if it comes to selling out the O2 Arena, the little fun question is always your walk-on music.
Gigs, Talking the Artist. Talking the Artist, there's a rapper called Gigs. Yeah, a rapper called Gigs. He's from South London. I'm not from Peckham, I'm from Woolwich and Cheltenham, but he's from South London. When I was a kid in school, I used to go by Sigs because I was such a fan of him because he was called Gigs. So that, or Fortunate Son by Clarence Clearwater. You would know Fortunate Son. Sorry. You would know it. It's a classic. It's been in loads of movies. It's a real like. Well, I'll do the intro is down now. Yeah, there. No, yeah, that's the, and it's like a kind of country song. And I can't think of the band. Clarence Clearwater, I think they're called. Yeah, either one of them, which are completely different. One's a bloody crime track, and then the other one's a country track. So either one of them two. The first one, the Gigs one, is just a homage to South London. Any South Londoners that are a similar age or into that sort of music would know Talking the Hardest. It was an anthem when we were a kid. It was like a very culturally big impact song. Yeah. Which would be hilarious to come out to because I don't look like I'd listen to that, which makes it even better. and I'm sure my audience wouldn't be into it either, but then I just like it even more.
Yeah, it's always quite funny when you get somebody who picks something or you find out about them that you just don't, from their appearance, you don't think is going to be them.
Yeah.
I did a gig with Henry Riley. I've done quite a few with him. He's the guy that runs the other side.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there was a thing as part of a group chat for a night that was coming up. The organizer decided to try and put walk-on music for people, and Henry went, any drill music. And I'm like, is he having a laugh?
Yeah.
He can't be serious.
Yeah.
And he is.
Oh, right.
It's just funny. You look at Henry, and he has the accountant look.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that he's a fan of the drill. But then I think that works that's almost like a joke. Before he even goes on stage, he's kind of got the audience laughing because he can just go on and be like, did you enjoy that song? My favourite song, that one. And it is just, his name's escaping me. There's an Irish comedian who was going, was it Vittorio Angeloni, was it? No, it might have been Mike Ricey. One of them was doing a tour and they lost a bet and the other one had to pick their intro music.
I know what you mean. You're talking about
how many stories am I muddling up right now?
You're mixing two stories up. You're mixing two stories up, but you're thinking of, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I might be jumping the gun, is it was Dan Nightingale and Adam Rowe.
Right.
They were both doing two separate tours and they had a bet where they could pick each other's walk-on music, but they had to be very considerate about it because if they pick something bad for them, the one they get back could be worse.
Yeah.
So I think it was Adam Rowe in conjunction with Vittorio Angeloni picked the national anthem.
Yes, exactly.
Dan, who was opening in Belfast.
Yeah. That is exactly it. Yeah, I'm glad that you remembered. Yeah, I need to stop smoking. That is just so good. Just the God Save the Queen, or maybe even the King for how recent it was. Yeah, it's just so brilliant. Just those sort of stories. Yeah. I'd love to play that game when I do finally make it. But coming up with the people that I can see myself coming up with. Like I've got a little WhatsApp group with like a few people, and if we all just keep going, I don't see there's any reason why 10 years in. I mean, some of us will there's like Charlie First in the group. I can't see him not making it. Like MJ Hunter, there's a few that's just like, if you don't make it, it's your fault. Like, you've decided not to do something with it, because if you just keep going and being consistent, you are going to make it. So it's really cool, because you hear it from comedians now. Like, they'll say like, "Oh yeah, I started off with them." "Oh yeah, I remember them." Like, I mean, do you list to have a word? I'm guessing. Like,
Yes.
Dan Nightingale, he's just been there. Like any sort of comedian you mentioned for the last 30 years, he goes, "Oh yeah, I used to do a few gigs with them," and "Oh yeah, I've done a gig with them," and stuff. And also you saying about, was it Claire Cox, seeing how different she's got? I think Jimmy Carr used to be a musical comedian. I would love to see where, like, how different people's styles going to get. Not to keep talking about my comedic friends, but like MJ Hunter's quite self-deprecating. It would be brilliant if in 10 years he's just macho and just has a completely different act and goes on stage with like collar up sort of thing, almost like an Andrew Dice Clay, just, hey! It would be brilliant just to see how people's acts change. And, you know, people that, like a one-liner comedian, did they always start off at one-liner? Were they more storytelling? That's the thing. Charlie Firth could end up being a one-liner comedian in about 10 years. It's so interesting to see where our journeys are going to take us, and to see people around you sort of getting like better. Like I was in Waterloo a month ago chatting to Joe DaCosta, and I was just talking about bringers and how bringers are just, it hurts the soul, but obviously it has to be done. In London, it's a bringer scene. Finding out that other cities don't have a bringer scene was like, what do you mean they don't have a bringer scene? I think Liverpool, Manchester doesn't really have one, but I'm guessing because there's just more comedy going. So we was just talking about the bringer scene and how that is the one thing that just hurts, because I've run out of friends. I ran out of friends within about 6 months. I really did. So then that's when you just have to get comedic friends that are just kind of like, listen, you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor, sort of thing. But now he's now getting to the point where he's kind of out of that. Like, he's now just getting like invited to shows, and it's like, God, Joe, well done. Like, you're seeing the progression, you're seeing people getting like their little next steps and stuff like that. And then just to be a dickhead, when you see people do the next step and you're like, how did you get that? How did you? Yeah. I mean, but then just to be a complete hypocrite, it's great when you see someone a few times and you go, all right. And then you see a murder and you go, oh, I've only seen them try out new stuff. I've never seen him actually do. Every time I've seen them, they've just been, let's just see what chuck it, we'll see if it sticks. And you go, oh no, that's all right. And then you just see them kill, and you go, that's why they're that good. Yeah, because I saw a comedian, someone probably like three or four times do 5 minutes, and it's good. I always a good opener, good closer, but you know, nothing crazy. And I see him headline, and then it was just like, this is the stuff that I know works, and he was just fantastic. And it is it is fun seeing, and that's why I had to kind of say to myself, like, it's okay to do rubbish in front of people, because hopefully one day they'll see you again and you'll do good.
Yeah, I think there is a massive amount of people on the open mic circuit that 5 minutes never does them justice. Once you see them do 10, you're like, okay, that makes sense now. Everything that other people have said about you makes perfect sense. But in the 5 minutes, it's really hard to get across how good some people are. But
how's Yogi Down doing 5 minutes? Yeah.
Yogi doesn't get 5 minutes, does he? Because people know he can't do it justice.
Yeah, exactly that. And then that's funny. When you first start, you're like, 5 minutes? That's a long time. And now I'm like, 5 minutes is enough. Like, 5 minutes. That's why, because when probably a few months in, it was like, when I was trying new stuff, I'd like 3 minutes of old stuff, 2 minutes of new stuff. And now it's like, even if I do more of a minute than old stuff, I'm like, no, I'm wasting that minute. As long as I just get them to kind of like me and know that I can make a joke, and then I can just, try out the new stuff. So it's so funny. And it's going to be funny getting to the point where I say 10 minutes ain't really enough. And 10 minutes, I'm just getting started. And then obviously the 20-minute sets, and then hour seems ridiculous at the moment. An hour. How would I remember an hour? But obviously we'll get there at one point, because that's the thing. My memory is, I went through a bad stage of I think I forgot it about 4 gigs in a row. 4 or 5 gigs in a row, I just forgot, and I was just blanking. And the first few times it was new bits or new orders, and I was like, it's gonna happen, it's a new order, new bit. And then I would blank on bits that I knew like the back of my hand, like ones that I've been doing, and I'd blank, and then that really shook me up, and I was like, right, what is it? And then I just learned to not put the pressure on. It was right in between the time I told you about that gig where I just enjoy it, just enjoy the gig. It was kind of like that time. And then since then, touch wood, I've been all right. I haven't really forgot anything. I've never written on my hand, which is good. Mainly because I started off doing G&B, and I see Kyle come up on stage and wipe someone's hand mid-set. So I think that scarred me for life, not writing on my hand. And, it doesn't. If people write on the inside, that's quite smart, because then you kind of little look. Yeah. But I do have notes. So I have a little notes, and it's like a little post-it note, and I just have it folded up in my back pocket. And if I ever do really blank, I'll just pull it out and then just go, and I have a joke for it, and I just go, oh, I need to stop smoking so much. And it's just a little like, ah, and then I quickly read the joke. And it's just a word. Always the word. The only word.
Yeah.
But it's always the order. But then I had one gig where I forgot it for about 3 seconds. In my head, it was about 10 minutes. And I just went, look, I looked at the note. And when I watched the video back, I went, you didn't need to look at the notes then. Just live in the moment for a bit. Live in 10 seconds of silence. It's only 10 seconds until you remember it.
Yeah.
So that's what I do now. But I still do have these notes just in case. Just in case, which I probably shouldn't, because then your mind is kind of saying they're there just in case. But for the last one, like 20 odd gigs, we've been good. One thing I do want to quickly ask you, Mark. Do you know how many gigs you've done?
How many gigs I've done?
Yeah, like to the number.
Yeah.
Oh, do you? I wish I've forgotten. I don't know where I'm at. Like I knew when I got to 50, and now I'm like, but I know I can go in my calendar and look. My Google calendar, I've got every gig in there. So I know that I can just go back and kind of work it out. But yeah, people that have been in the game for as long as yourself and stuff like that, I do think like, how do you keep up with how many?
Yeah, there gets to a point where you they either don't matter, or you just get to the point where you go, I've done so many now. It's just it's in this bracket.
Yeah.
But I when I started, I had a little I have a notebook of, and it just in the front cover, it was just like, right, 1 was here, 2 was here, 3 was here, and I just keep doing that. But then I used it as a way of trying to work out where I perform the most.
Oh, okay.
So if I was going to try new stuff, then I would my brain ridiculously goes, well, I don't want to do the same old stuff at the same old venues. So if we're going back to, I don't know, whichever one, Comedy Night A, and I know I've done it 5 times. I've done roughly the same set because I've done it in that period of time. I'll go for that one for some new stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So that was kind of what I tried to use that for. But then I like to set little milestones for me. When I started this, my target was to do 1 gig, which was a showcase. It was never to do anything else. That was all I was going to do.
Oh, really?
But then I fell in love with it and thought I'm the best in the world because everyone's laughing. So
Yeah.
I've got to do more.
Yeah.
And then I went on this journey, and I got to like 10 gigs, and I was like, right, okay, I need to get to 50 just to see what happens. And then I got to 50, and I was right, now I need to get to 100.
Yeah.
And then it's like, right, now I've done 101, and I'm on a little break at the moment. And it's like, well, where do you want to go to next?
Okay. Yeah. For some reason I thought you were in the hundreds and hundreds.
No. Just the impression I give.
Yeah. It's the stage where the...
No, I started in 23.
Okay.
I think it was. Yeah. And so fortunate/unfortunate not to live inside of London. So, it's traveling in and out of London for gigs and stuff like that. And it becomes quite expensive and time consuming. It's never just, jumping on a tube and going here.
Yeah.
It's always a car journey to park the car at train station, get the train in, get the tube, etc.
Yeah, as much as I'm falling out of my love of London, which is something I never thought. Like I'm a South East London boy. Until I'm priced out of here, I thought I'd be here forever. But I'm getting to the age now that I'm like, London's no one's nice. It's just there's no community. It's not the same. But I do think like if I lived in like Crawley or something, I'm like, what would I do? I think I wouldn't have made it to this many gigs because it's just, I'd like to think maybe I would have, but it's just, what do you do? Like when I took my break last year and I was in Herne Bay for a while with my parents and there's just no gigs. There's just like, you can't get gigs there. Or there's like the odd one or something like that. That'd be like a 1 monthly gig. But I do think like, what do these people, I mean, Herne Bay isn't far. You just travel to London, but these people in these areas. I mean, you saying about going to the same comedy night and not wanting to do the same 5, even though it's probably a completely different audience each time.
Yeah.
Like even though there's a different audience, there is that part of you that's like, yeah, but still the same stuff. These people that are going to the same comedy club with the same audience for a few nights, it's interesting how they do it. But I think that's when it's just such a small little community. You just have a small community of comedians, and you kind of probably all ride together and sort of doing things. But then it can be a sort of you piss one of them off, and then you're just shunned from that sort of community. So that's one thing about London, because there's so many. I mean, that's one thing that I hate with me not liking social media, because there is so many gigs that I don't hear about because I'm not as good on socials. Like I'll only go on Instagram to post, and they'll go on Instagram, and then there'll be a new comedy place that posts saying, "Hey, gigs available for next month today." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me quickly do the thing." And I'm like, "See, if I'm on this every day, I can see all the times that they're doing it."
Yeah.
But yeah, so how far out of London?
It's only a 20-25 minute train ride, but it's the whole.
Yeah.
But then there's the getting back home.
Yeah.
And if you've got a night that runs on quite late, You know, you've then got the journey from the venue to the tube station to the train, to hopefully catch a train that's not been cancelled.
Yeah, and then work in the morning and all the rest
Yeah.
of it. And it is just, so I take my hat off. And that's the thing. That's why I can't really complain. Like, as much as there's no local gigs, I think the quickest gig I've got is Signature Brewery, the Haggerson. That's just a direct 50 minutes, but it's still the quickest gig I've got at the moment, unless I'm driving, funnily enough. Caversham Arms is a 20-minute drive, so if I drive there, that's all right. Same with one that I do in Greenwich, that's a drive, so not too bad. The closest ever gig I had was the worst gig of my life, which was my third or fourth gig, where it was a musical night, and I didn't know. So musical and comedy night. No, let me correct that. A musical and comedy night, but I was the only comedian that turned up, and there was just people listening to these singers, and the woman who was before me, they were great. They really were. And this woman before me, she was on a guitar, really upbeat songs. Everyone was loving it. Woman even gave it a little jiggle, and then there was like, right, everyone settle down. This man's going to tell some jokes, and I just killed the, like, even if a veteran went on stage, I feel like they would have also not done good. And it was just, I just killed the mood. It was just, if only, I'm guessing it was just an inexperienced MC. Maybe if the MC was better, they might have been like, right, you go on first, kind of get them to it, and then we'll just do all the musical acts. But yeah, it just didn't work, because musical comedy's fine to follow, because, you know, the jokes, especially when they're really good, musical comedian, they kind of do. And that's one thing I love seeing, when you see a musical comedian and then one day you see them without their instrument, and you're like, we can do, and they just do a set. Owen, Colin, surname? Irish Owen, I can't think of his surname. I've seen him do that loads and stuff like that. And Johnny Brace. Terrible names. Any comedians, by the way, that I've tried to say your names today, I'm so sorry. I'm not good with names. You know I'm good with faces. It's but yeah, he's another fantastic comedian, Johnny Brace, and it's always good when, you know, they'll do the songs and then they'll do a few jokes and stuff like that. So they're following fine, but when it's just music, like them nights, I don't see a lot of them now, but yeah, when I started, I just that was the worst gig of my life, and that's why I took so much time off, because I was like, this is me. But then I kind of spoke to others and went to a few nights without performing, just to kind of sit there and be like, look, if they're getting laughs, I should be all right, sort of thing. And then spoke to a few people about it, and they just kind of said, it wasn't you, it just happened. Like, it wasn't the audience's fault either. It's just everyone was up dancing, having a good time, and then you come down and told everyone. Literally, the MC went, right, settle down. This guy's gonna tell some jokes. And that's not the, again, you can never really blame the audience, but sometimes it is. Sometimes everybody just eats shit. Sometimes it is just everybody on the same night eats shit, and then that's why. Like, a few people at work now know that I do it, and they're very supportive. They ask me like, how's the gig going, blah blah blah. And then I'll come, like, I'll have a gig, and the next day I'll come into work, and I go, how was it? I go, oh, really great. And there's like the audience, and I was like, oh, the audience just wasn't great. No one was liking it. And then sometimes they'll be like, how would it go? And I go, not great. And there's like, the audience. I go, no, the audience were fine. The audience were actually really, really good, but it was just me. Yeah. I just wasn't very good.
Let's see if we can get a new joke into your repertoire now.
Yes, looking forward to this. Right, let me. Go on.
For people that are new to this, I like to set all the comedians that come on here a challenge, which is to tell a joke from this joke book called The Little Book of Shit Jokes by an author called Sid Finch. And the idea is that each comedian gets to pick a joke from this book, tell it on stage, film it, record it, post it on Instagram, have a laugh and see how they do. The trick is, though, they don't get to pick the joke by words. They only get to pick it by page number. So what they're going to get is a complete and utter mystery. And if they pick a joke that's already gone, then we go again, and we keep going because no comedian should have the same joke. And it's always interesting to see how people put these into their sets and how they do it and stuff like that. So, Sonny, give me a number between 5 and 95.
24.
24. Are we lucky? Because there's been quite a few episodes now.
Yeah.
Aha.
Soon you're going to be like, pick me a number between 93 and 95.
Okay, you've got two jokes on here. Which one would you like, joke 1 or joke 2?
Let's go with joke 2.
Joke 2, right.
I feel nervous.
This might actually work with your... We should clarify that for those that are listening to this, the little prop that Sonny was mentioning was like a pair of glasses with a nose and a moustache. You know, the kind of classic one from probably the 20s or whatever.
1820s, yeah.
Yeah, that joke might work with that that prop might work with this joke. Is what has 4 legs but can't walk? 2 pairs of trousers.
Right, yeah. Trousers. Right. You know what? I used to have a joke, and it got, instead of a laugh, it always got, hey. Never done bad, but I had to scrap it because that's not what I'm looking for. And you know what? Some comedians do look for it, and sometimes it is them jokes. Sometimes them jokes are great. Like mine was so now I have it in the back pocket. If I'm ever talking to an audience member and they smoke weed, I have it in the back pocket. But it was just I don't I used to smoke weed. Don't smoke weed anymore. I had to give it up. Just growing up a bit, I just thought I had to give it up. So I don't smoke weed anymore. Turns out you can vape weed now. And it's just, hey, sort of that sort of thing. Yeah. But I think I used to say more like, but now instead of smoking it, I vape it. And it's just like, hey, sort of thing. But I had to just like, it's not the laughs you want. And I know that that is just going to get one of them, hey, sort of things. So,
I've seen friends kind of suggest jokes and stuff. And you kind of go, do you want a joke with a groan at the end?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're going to get from that. It might be a well-written stuff, but everyone go, oh.
Yeah. I think I've never, since starting comedy, and obviously my friends in that know, I've never heard the few words of, you can have that one, or you can keep that. I've never heard that more in the last year than in my whole entire life. Any sort of pub garden I'm in, any sort of joke that someone does at work, they'll just lean over and go, you can have that. And I'll just be like, what, the joke you made about Sarah? No one knows Sarah, mate. What do you want me to do? Talk about the whole situation and be like, and then Joel said, Sarah's mum's only got one leg. Like, what are we doing here? But constant. Or they'll tell me a street joke and go, you can use that. And I go, what did you come up with that? They go, no. I go, when I can't use it then. What are we doing? But funnily enough, I had stole a story off a friend. A friend told a great, and funny, I'd done the exact opposite. He told a great story and we was in tears. I went, can I tell that story on stage? He went, yeah. And I was like, you sure? He goes, yeah. He goes, like, I'm not mentioning your name or anything, but do you mind if I tell that story? And I have been telling that story on stage, and I've kind of obviously adapted it a little bit and stuff like that. But yeah, just the opposite of doing that. But that is always funny. Yeah, you can have that one. Yeah, keep that.
Yeah. I don't know, but no. So where can people find you then on the socials these days?
Sonny Savage comic. Sonny is spelled SONNY. Savage, SAVAGE, and then comic, just COMIC. You can find me at Instagram. That is be the best place. On my bio, I don't think I've got it up to set up yet, but there will be a link to my mailing list, which will eventually be the only place to find me. But yeah, Sonny Savage comic. I apologize that I'm not crazy big on it, but I'll always do any gigs that I'm doing. I'll always do a story from the gig and talk about it. And join the Sonny Savage sort of world.
Cool. No, come on, people, start following him. Give him a reason to put some content.
Exactly that. Give him a reason to, and then I can start annoying like selfies and be like, "Hi, gang, don't forget to like and subscribe."
Yeah, you can do all of that.
Morning, guys. How are we all doing today? Start doing Q&As with my fans.
Ask me anything.
Yeah. I'm delayed on a flight. Ask me anything.
Yeah.
It would just be my mum. It would just be my mum being like, I haven't seen you in a few weeks. When you next popping down?
You can find us on Instagram at Open Mic Comedy Pod. We've got our website, openmiccomedypod.com. Whichever platform you're listening to us on, please give it a like, follow, subscribe, and all that jazz. Get these people heard. And just get in contact with these comedians if you like the sound of it, if you want to do your nights. That's what they're here for. That's what they want to do. Hopefully this platform helps get them more gigs and gets these people heard. And you never know, you might have somebody who becomes famous and sells out the O2 in a few years' time.
Exactly.
So just want to say lastly, thank you very much for your time today, Sonny.
Oh no, Mark, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. This what you do for us open micers is bloody fantastic. This platform that you give us and coming and discovering other comedians and even comedians that I've gigged with a few times and like got on with, but just, never took their number down or anything like that. And just not really like friends with them, see them that they're on here, give it a listen and go, oh yeah, they're my type of people. You learn so much more about each other. Like I'm excited to see the Yogi Bell one, that just because I want to see what that man's really like. Because he can't be that crazy. So again, Mark, thank you so much. And on behalf of myself and I'm sure a lot of other comedians, I'm very grateful for everything you do. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you for that. That's nice.
That's all right.
And for everybody else, I will speak to you all very, very soon.
Thank you, guys.